Good morning. It's Tuesday, December the 1st, and this is The Drill. Thank you. The prayer of the day. Dear Lord, please let the newly elected and re-elected Republicans do what is best for the country and their constituents ahead of what is best for them. Amen. Welcome to all the butchers, bakers, and candlestick makers out there. I'm Ron, your host and the only true conservative in the United States today. Who is the true conservative? First and foremost, he's realistic. Secondly, he's God-fearing. The true conservative is the man who follows his plan. He is appropriate. He is the person that has the courage of his convictions and is confident in what he knows. He's the person that subordinates politics to reality. He's not selfish, but minds his own business. He acts like an adult. He's patriotic and uses common sense. He is judgmental and moralizes. He refuses to speculate, speaks clearly and definitively, and is not afraid to say no. He's open-minded, asking why rather than why not. He refuses to He is consistent, credible, and influential, not ashamed of his existence, unafraid to learn or correct his mistakes. He's a normal American, and he's better than the socialist. He's a better friend, father, brother, family member, and a better person, period. You have to know that. Being a true conservative is best, or you're wasting your time. Additional examples of what it means to be a true conservative can be heard by listening to John Cobelt and Ken Champeau on the John and Ken Show on KFI AM 640 Monday through Friday from 2 to 6 p.m. Pacific Time. My podcast is short, about 5 to 20 minutes long, because shorter podcasts are easier to download and listen to. The biggest socio-political influences in my life are my parents, my teachers, Hugh Hewitt, Glenn Beck, Rush Limbaugh, Sean Hannity, Dennis Prager, Buck Sexton, Joe Pags, the Enlightenment, Ayn Rand, and Dr. Mortimer Adler. My podcast is made available through Spreaker and can be heard on iTunes, Spotify, Google, YouTube, and CastBox. I can be reached at thedrill@gmail.com. Actually, it's thedrill12@gmail.com. That's thedrill, all one word, 12@gmail.com. Today, where do we stand? The 7 commandments, actually it's the 6 commandments now. Quote of the day, how to win, conservative vocabulary, how to think about male hegemony, conservative aphorisms, socialist aphorisms, and socialist vocabulary. All that when I come back. Thank you. Where do we stand? The Pennsylvania Appeals Court denied President Trump's appeal to decertify Pennsylvania's election results, and the case should now go to the Supreme Court. Sidney Powell from the Trump administration filed lawsuits in Michigan and Georgia. 7 governorships to the Democrats' 23. Republicans control 55 of 99 state legislative chambers. Voters in 4 more states made the wrong choice and legalize the recreational use of marijuana. Extremists in the state of California are creating a ballot measure to decriminalize magic mushrooms, heroin, and cocaine. The monster that's been arraigned for shooting 2 Los Angeles sheriff's deputies should, if there's any real justice, get the death penalty. George Soros is still not dead yet, but I sure wish he were. No law enforcement union has been decertified, and no laws shielding officers from prosecution have yet been repealed, and that is dangerous. The most unpatriotic piece of legislation, the Patriot Act, is still the law of the land, mocking the Constitution and creating the blueprint for the autocratic rule in this pandemic. New York Times v. Sullivan continues to encourage news people to be super citizens who can use unnamed sources to slander and defame people at will without fear of consequences, meaning they can't be fired, they can't be sued, they can't be criminally prosecuted. New York Times v. Sullivan should be overturned. Where's the expose on the Washington Press Corps? Where's nonprofit news? The communist flu continues. Blue Cross and Kaiser Permanente continue to take our premiums while they use lockdowns to avoid paying claims. Governor Newsom has enacted a racist scheme to keep Californians locked down indefinitely. When I come back, conservative vocabulary. Thank you. There's more to being a conservative than voting. If you want to be a true conservative, you have to act, think, and talk like a true conservative. Wrong, should, good, bad, evil, reality, certainty, morality, beauty, and polity. These terms are conservative because they're realistic. How to win? Follow the conservative commandments. Number 1, thou shalt not be neutral. The cult of neutrality is dead. Number 2, thou shalt not be pragmatic. Number 3, thou shalt not be idealistic. Number 4, thou shalt not be materialistic. Number 5, thou shalt not be skeptical. And number 6, thou shalt not be an activist. When some lefty asks you where all the evidence of election fraud is, the best answer is, you mean you don't see it? When are you going to open your eyes? The quote of the day, the smallest minority, quote, the smallest minority in the world is the individual. Those who deny individual rights cannot claim to be defenders of minorities, unquote, Ayn Rand. As conservatives, we make the presumption for the status quo and change only when there's an obvious or prima facie case for change. Therefore, the following terms should be brought back into civilized conversation. Bring back normality, sanity, privacy, property rights, the pre-1970 filibuster, outlawry, single-income households, integration, parenting, and along with it, corporal punishment, the primacy of existence, certainty of knowledge, and universal rights and wrongs. Bring back principled behavior, masculinity and femininity, Adam 12, John F. Kennedy, the gold standard, pre-HMO medical care, nonprofit news, civil service, and the term stupid question. Bring back arguments and fights, the cultural influence of the church and Boy Scouts. Bring back the Lions Club and the Rotary Club. Bring back bowling, linear thinking, and bring back smart. Be of good cheer. The universe is benevolent and success is to be expected. Therefore, the left has no authority, no power, and they cannot win. Think about it. How to think about male hegemony. Male hegemony is also known as hegemonic masculinity, in which dominant definitions of masculinity are embedded in social institutions such as the state, education, and the family. Male power is not simply held by individual men, but is institutionalized in social structure and ideologies that support the gender order in favor of men. Hegemony is not the same as dominance. Different definitions and practices of masculinity may supplant others as hegemonic. Masculinity is contested. It may be that very few men might occupy the hegemonic position. It may be practically impossible to define what hegemonic masculinity objectively is. Men are not only organized hierarchically in relation to women, but also to each other in relations of marginalization and subordination. All men receive a patriarchal dividend, even if they're excluded from the dominant definitions of masculinity. Now, all of this sounds good at first blush, doesn't it? I got this definition on Google when I searched male hegemony. The definitions are from slideshare.net and a class on hegemonic masculinity. And it is all bullshit. The sentence that reads, it may be practically impossible to define what hegemonic masculinity objectively is a dead giveaway that male hegemony is bullshit. This is important because male hegemony is what the National Organization for Women is supposedly organized to resist. Marxism and post-Marxism have to have enemies. And if they do not have any enemies, they must create them. Male hegemony is further debunked by Googling top 15 most powerful women in history and reading about powerful women that were rulers instead of being ruled. Female hegemony, for lack of a better term. Women such as Zenobia, Cleopatra, the Rani of Jhansi, Joan of Arc, Borti Ujin, Indira Gandhi, Margaret Thatcher, Theodora, Queen Victoria, Empress Dowager Cixi, Maria Theresa of Austria, Hatshepsut, Catherine the Great, Empress Wu Zetian, Elizabeth I. And my personal favorite is Sheng Shi, a Chinese pirate leader who terrorized the China seas during the Xinjiang Emperor period of the Qing dynasty in the early 19th century. She commanded over 1,800 ships manned by 60 to 80,000 pirates. All of these women were able to exercise power without the help of the National Organization for Women. Next time someone tries to tell you about male hegemony, throw the bullshit flag and deny its existence. Conservative aphorisms. Why? Who asked you? Who cares? Who is we? Are you sure? How do you know? No, you don't understand. No, you are not listening. You're not a leader or a change agent. Who died and left you in charge? Who told you that? You don't know? When are you going to figure it out? And my personal favorite, get off of my lawn. Socialist aphorisms. Subject the dominant paradigm, question authority, question everything, coexist. Up next, socialist vocabulary. Thank you. Since your enemies don't wear uniforms, how do you identify the socialists in their midst, or in your midst? By their vocabulary. Socialist vocabulary includes such words as stakeholders, Latinx, empower, going forward, mansplaining, politically correct, supportive, hegemony, organic, grassroots, code word, dog whistle, buy-in, pushback, stuck on stupid, walk it back, and the masses. The ICE tip line is 866-347-2423. The White House switchboard is 202-456-1111 or 202-456-1414. The Senate House switchboard is 202-224-3121. Back in a minute. Who is the socialist? He's the man that seeks consensus rather than seek knowledge. He's subjective, petty, and small, taking everything in life personally. He's outrageous, jaded, boring, and rude. He pretends to be a leader and a change agent. He is manipulative. He is sly, cunning, and deceptive. He dresses, acts, and speaks like a child. He knows nothing. He's pragmatic and ignores his conscience. He acts randomly and rationalizes his behavior, deterministic, blaming others for his mistakes, skeptical, demanding that others solve his problems. His unreasonableness and irresponsibility make him a bad role model and a bad father, brother, family member, friend, and a bad person, period. So if you think you should be friends with a socialist, think again. On the next episode, how did abortion become mainstream? And that concludes another episode of The Drill. Be honest, be smart, be beautiful, and always ask yourself, what is real? How do I know? And what should I do about it? I'm Ron, and that's The Drill.